Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
It is 7:07 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman. On the line is Michael Steele, former lieutenant governor from the state of Maryland, former chairman of the RNC. Michael, how are you this morning?
I am great. Brian, how's it going, bud?
Well, pretty good. Well, we got to get right to this thing that Joe Biden said yesterday, in case you haven't heard it, and somebody maybe in our audience have not heard it. Here's exactly what Vice President Joe Biden said yesterday on the campaign trail in Danville, Virginia.
And look at their budget and what they're proposing. Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Well, that's exactly how it went down. The Romney campaign has condemned that roundly. I should point out that Danville, Virginia is an area that is 49% African-American, and in fact about half of the audience was African-American. As an African-American, how did this resonate with you?
Well, when I heard it, I got a little bit, it was like, oh, really? You went there? And I understood what he was saying. He was, playing off of Romney's use of unchaining Wall Street, and Romney himself used the word unshackled, that he's going to, the economy is going to put you back in shackles, that type of thing. I think what makes this sensitive is the fact that he said in an audience that was half African American, and the concept of chains and putting you back in chains connotes slavery. At the end of the day, this is a lot of nothing. And again, if this is what our presidential campaign is going to resort to, where every little picayune, silly thing is thrown out there and people are tweeting and getting all hyperextended about it, this is going to be the biggest Seinfeld campaign in the history of presidential campaigns.
A campaign about
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that this comes to an end quickly, because this is just not the way to go. I mean, I think everybody understood. I could be outrageous about it right now and go, oh my God, he should just condemn, he should come off the ticket, but that's just stupid. And it's not advancing the conversation about solving our debt crisis, our unemployment crisis.
Okay, I'll grant you all that, and it's not going to be the defining moment of the campaign, but you say you felt a little like, oh.
Well, you get sense that in the audience reaction as well. Like, really?
Yeah, there were people that you could tell from the audience as well. But I guess the point is, number one, it's Joe Biden. So he has this way of expressing himself. But at the same time, you got to draw a line somewhere, I guess, and say to yourself, okay, relative to everything else that I should really be upset about and angry about and frustrated about, does this rate?
Well,
and I don't know if it gets that high up on the meter. When I heard it, it made me kind of quench, like, really? Did you go there? But I didn't walk in that mess for a long time. I just instantly came out of it and moved on.
All right, but not to belabor the point, but I will.
Sure, no problem, Brian. What's up?
I just want to say, does it raise questions? I mean, it's beginning to raise questions with me about the fitness of Joe Biden to be the vice president. I mean, he continually says things that show poor judgment. He didn't even know yesterday that he was in Virginia and not North Carolina.
Right.
And I'm beginning to wonder, how many times do we make well, that's just Joe. That's just Joe. This is a man who is one heartbeat away from the presidency of the United States.
Well, I will give you that, and I will say that if Joe Biden were a Republican and he had made that comment in an audience like that the Democrats and the left would be, it would be singing from the top of the mountains about it and making all kinds of clanging noises. There's no doubt about that. And calling for him to be removed from the ticket and stuff like that because it's part of a pattern or history. That's ultimately something Barack Obama's got to deal with, and if Joe Biden becomes a drag on the ticket because of his comments, et cetera, then that's something they're going to deal with. I just don't. I get your point, but I don't know where it gets to, because nothing's going to happen with Joe Biden in the next 3 months relative to being removed from the ticket, unless he gets out there and really throws the administration under the bus. And after 4 years of on again and off again gas. I don't think that, and that hasn't happened. I don't think it will.
All right, we're talking with Michael Steele, former head of the RNC and also former lieutenant governor of Maryland. Paul Ryan is the guy. He's been out there for a couple of days. How do you think it's going so far?
It was great, a great balloon launch, as they say, and what happens after a balloon has been up in the air for a while, the air starts to come out, and I think that happened. It happened a little bit quicker than I thought.
How so? Where so?
Well, I mean, you saw yesterday reports about Republicans who are concerned about all of a sudden now the emphasis is not on jobs and the economy, but Paul Ryan's budget and Medicare. And you have a lot of down-ballot congressional seats around the country that are in marginally, Democrat or strongly leaning Democrat districts, and Paul Ryan is one of them. His district is, by and large, a Democrat district. He was lucky to get reelected in that district over and over again, but a lot of folks on this issue are being pinched now, and it's not a topic that a lot of congressional Republicans want to talk about in those marginally Democratic districts.
Why not talk about, but I know it's a fine line to walk, but this is the budget that you wanted. I'm talking about Republicans. They passed it in the House. The Medicare reform, isn't really all that drastic, to be honest with you. And if you're over 55, it doesn't change it one bit. Why not just say, hey, these are the things that we're going to run on. These are the things that we're going to do. Well, and by the way, if you get elected, then you have the mandate to do it because you said you were going to do it.
Well, you would think that would be the case, wouldn't you? But as we saw over the past year, Republicans have lost special elections on that issue. And I don't know if it's because they have not messaged well on it, that it is too complicated for folks. The Democrats are good at demagoguing on it. I don't know what exactly the issue is, but the fact that we have seen Republicans lose special elections on the issue, the fact that it is wildly unpopular with a significant number of Americans, as polls show, I think it just makes people nervous. Now, I agree with you. Yeah, look, you put Paul Ryan on the ticket. That's a big part of Paul Ryan being on the ticket. So, my estimation is that the Romney campaign has decided that it's going to go in a different direction. They don't want this to be an election, which is a referendum on the president, but election about a choice between his vision, Ryan and Romney's, and Biden and Obama. So we'll see how that plays out, but they've got to be able to get in front of the messaging on it to calm the ranks of Republicans who are in those tough districts, who now will have to deal with this in addition to everything else. And like you just said, lead on it so that when you win, you have that mandate to specifically go and address that particular issue.
All right, Michael Steele, we greatly appreciate you joining us here.
Good to be with you both, Brian and Brian.
It's always a pleasure, Michael.
All right, buddy.
See you guys.
Take care.